Hello, wonderful people of the internet. Welcome back to another episode of Simuleos. Let me go ahead and open up a Zernal PP shell, or whatever we want to call it, and let's talk about what we're doing today. Folster, hey, thank you so much for coming in, and anyone who might be lurking in chat, hey, thanks for being here. I was not able to stream on Sunday because I had meetings on Sunday. I wasn't able to stream on Monday because I had meetings on Monday. And I wasn't able to stream yesterday because, quite frankly, I was exhausted from all the meetings I had throughout the day. Basically, I've just been incredibly burnt out recently. And so I just decided, let's just take a day to talk about things that are not programming. Alexor, hey, how are you? So I wrote a whole bunch of stories. Let's just talk about the history of this particular segment on this channel, and let's talk about what I want to do. I don't really even know, so I'm really hoping to workshop it with you guys, try to figure out what it is we want to do, because we know that people in stream actually do enjoy creative writing. For example, Trash Talk recently put up a new chapter. Oh my gosh, why am I so bad at using GUIs? I just want to make this bigger. Come on, there you go. Anyway, we know that Trash Talk has been doing a lot of writing. A lot of people last time when I did a creative writing stream were very into it. The question is, how exactly do we turn this into something that we do regularly? Because here's the thing, my entire life right now revolves around one thing, and that one thing is programming. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy programming. It's fun. I really do love the fact that my entire job is related to this one thing. But when I was younger, let's say 10 years old or so, I genuinely, if you asked me what I wanted to do when I was 10, I would say I wanted to be an author. If you asked me again in junior high, high school, college, even as an undergraduate, I would have told you the same thing. I want to be an author. And I've done nothing. I've made no progress towards that goal. In fact, I've made anti-gress. I've made the opposite of progress, going in the opposite direction, because I've been so hyper-focused on programming recently. The major creative outlet that I've had has been the algorithm archive, which is great, don't get me wrong. But there's kind of a difference between the content that I put on the algorithm archive and the content I used to write. Yeah, I used to just do a whole bunch of just creative writing, talking about characters, weird fantasy lands, this type of stuff. And I haven't done that a lot. And whenever I'm feeling stressed or whenever I'm feeling like I want an escape, what I always do is I always just pick up a pen and just start writing. It might not even be a pen nowadays. It might be a keyboard or something like that. But there's something to just expressing myself in a way that I don't typically express myself that is incredibly important to me. And I feel like it's something that I've lost in the past few, I guess you could say, years. I don't really know. But I want to make sure it's a regular part of my at least weekly routine. So here's what I've been thinking, and let me just talk about it, see what we all think. Back in June or July, I was actually doing a single writing prompt from Reddit's R writing prompts every day. And in fact, what I did is I actually started making a YouTube channel called Scribbleos. Here, let me show you the YouTube channel. You're gonna love this. Scribbleos. There's no way anyone subscribed to it because just there's no way. Here's Scribble. I have 2 subscribers, probably Trash Talk. But if we go to playlists here, you'll actually see that I have a bunch of videos here. With, here's Scribbleos, here's Spirit of Everything, here's Swimming in the Rain. It's basically just a bunch of things that I made. And I kind of just wanted to see if this format would work. So the idea was I would just read off something that I wrote that day, and basically every day I would put something new up on the channel. That would be the idea. Did it work out? No, it didn't work out because, quite frankly, doing a new one of these recordings every day was way too much. There was no way I could do it all like just once a day, every day, putting a new creative writing out. Now I could, however, every day do a new writing prompt, and that was something that I did, and I did quite frequently. So here, for example, is that Swimming in the Rain video. Feel free to take a look at it if you want. Oh, will that link even work? Maybe it won't because of the tilde up front. Let's do that. Maybe that link will work. Maybe I just posted the same link twice. I think I did. Sorry about that. But the point is, I really love writing, and I really want to make it more regular. So what I proposed back in June or July, by the way, hey, VCubingX, if you guys don't know, VCubingX is an amazing YouTuber. He makes wonderful math content. Also, I think in the middle of their PhD, so check out their content. They're really cool. Feel free to post a link if you want, VCubing. Okay, so unless. So basically, back in June slash July, I was writing, basically a short story every day. And what I said is once a week, one per week, we would be doing a writing stream. I did one. I did exactly one writing stream. And the reason I only did one is because I slotted it in to 9 to noon on Sunday. Right? So instead of going to church, you would listen to me talk about whatever I was talking about, like listen to creative writing things that I wrote. I think this was kind of okay. It was an interesting idea. But the truth is, I was too self-conscious to do this in my previous location. You guys know that I was living with my parents for a few months because my apartment in Boston sucked, and it was just a huge situation where I was incredibly stressed for months and months and months. So honestly, this just would not work out because the act of me narrating, writing in front of a microphone is fine for the Twitch audience. But something about knowing that my parents were in the other room and they kept having guests over, like every weekend we'd have more guests, and I could not deal with it. There was just so much stress, and I was trying to remove stress from my life, so I was unable to do this stream. So now the question is, what if we do Writing Wednesdays? Okay, how about this? Writing Wednesdays. All right. So the idea is every Wednesday we do a discussion on creative writing. I read some story that I wrote over the past weekend, and that's it, or over the past week, and that's it. So I just basically do one prompt a week. We meet, we talk, we read any prompts by the community, this type of stuff. Now, the truth is, I am a bit hesitant to read other people's writing, not because their writing is bad. Like, other people's writing is obviously fine. It's just that if the writing isn't written in my style, I have trouble reading it aloud. I mean, you guys see this all the time when I'm reading Wikipedia articles and stuff like that. There's a certain cadence to how I read things, and I tend to not be able to read other people's stuff. Or writing whenevers, more flexibilities. We could do writing whenevers. But the truth is, I do want to make this more of a weekly thing. I'm very tired of I'm not tired of programming. Don't get me wrong. I love programming. Programming is amazing. It's super fun and all this kind of stuff. But I just feel like sometimes you need an escape. And to me, writing is that escape. So that's where I'm at. Subscribe to Skibby. Thank you for subscribing to Scribbleaos. The channel that started and will never exist. I don't know. It just didn't get anywhere. Again, we tried a few weeks in a row, but we couldn't really do anything with it. So I think what I'm going to do is the following. NaNoWriMo is coming up. For those of you guys who don't know what NaNoWriMo is, it's National Novel Writers Month. So NaNoWriMo. The idea here is that I was actually going to read it today. I'm so sorry. I've just been behind on everything. So National Novel Writers Month is basically in the entire month of November. The idea is that you write 50,000 words. Okay? Now, what I wanted to do for NaNoWriMo is I actually wanted to go to github.com, and I'm actually writing a story myself called Grimm. So I was thinking, for NaNoWriMo, I've got maybe 15,000 words, 10,000 words, or something like that. So I thought, hey, why don't we just, for NaNoWriMo, finish up Grimm's memoir? I realize it's not exactly in the spirit of NaNoWriMo. The idea is you create a full novel from start to finish in the course of a month, but I figure, you know what? Screw that. I don't care that much about following the rules. It's 50,000 words in a month. That's what I'll do. And then what I was going to do is I was just going to put this for free on Amazon.com. Like, it's Creative Commons. I don't really care that much. I was just going to put it for free on Amazon. And just see what people say. You know, they might say it sucks. In fact, I'm pretty sure they're going to say it sucks, but I really want positive feedback. Those requirements are insane, by the way. Yeah. It's the way I see it is if you're going to do NaNoWriMo and you're going to write 50,000 words in a month, just do it at your own. Do what you feel like you want to do. You know, don't let anyone dictate what you need to do. You just live your own life, right? So one thing I don't think I have on this computer right now, maybe I do, is my scribblings directory. CD projects, scribble. I do have it. Okay, git log. What's the last one? Adding Scribbleaos intro source shield prompt. Oh, good. Okay, so it looks like I do have my most recent story that I have not read aloud to you guys. In fact, there's a few stories that I haven't read to you guys since the last time I did this. So I figure let's go ahead and read those stories out. Hopefully it will, it will, I don't know what the point of this is. I just want to do some reading, just re-inspire myself to write, re-inspire myself to program, this type of stuff. So I figure we'll read a story. I don't know if this is actually interesting to anyone, but that's kind of the goal of the stream, to figure out how we actually want to run these streams. I don't know if just reading out a story is actually like interesting to people or not. I have no idea. So let me just go ahead, and Ella's here. Again, I'm going to CD into 2020, and I'm going to CD into June or July, because that's CD July. And I believe the last one that we didn't look at was the following prompt. So this is the last prompt that I did not describe, that I never read aloud for you guys in July. And so I kind of wanted to read it, and I'm actually going to give some criticism of what I think I could have done better, because quite frankly, it's been a few months. I haven't been doing writing like relatively recently, not too often. I did some last night, but nothing major. And so I figured, let's just read it aloud, see if this story even makes sense anymore. It might not, you know, like who knows? Now the question is, how do I want to go about reading this? I think I want to turn this into a pandoc, like a pandoc. How do I do this? Pandoc. How do we do markdown to PDF? Do you have spell checker or just amazing precision? I do have a spell checker. It's called A-Spell. It's a terminal spell checker. Convert your markdown to PDF with our online converter. I don't want an online converter. There's a way to do this with Pandoc. What kind of writing is this? It's, I mean, it's just generally short stories and stuff like that. I feel like we could do something a bit more complex, but again, for the purposes of the stream and stuff like that, I think short stories are the best way. That way you can jump into a story, and then if it's not interesting to you, you know, you can wait for the next story or something like that. Markdown to PDF. Pandoc, example.html. Let's just look for MD. Can I just do... I can turn it to a IPython notebook. I want to... Example 5. Can I just do the following? Can I just do Pandoc input? Oh, probably Pandoc 4.m and then out 4.pdf. Will that work? Ocular 4.pdf. Ah, there you go. Okay, so here's this prompt. I don't know if it's... Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started. Again, I'm always kind of a bit nervous when I'm doing these creative writing streams, because, again, for some... You know, when it comes to programming, I'm very used to people saying, your code sucks, or very used to people saying, you forgot a semicolon or something like that. But writing is a bit more personal, you know? It's like art or anything else. You kind of feel like... It feels bad when people say your writing sucks, because, like, it feels like I put more effort into this. Like, maybe because it's just closer to my chest, you know? I just feel like it hurts more when people criticize. But that's okay. You know, the art of writing, I need to grow a thicker skin when it comes to this kind of stuff, you know? Okay, so this writing prompt was, describe a completely normal scenario or activity, I already misspelled activity, in a fashion that makes it unsettling. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do aspell -c4.md activity, palette. Is that not how you spell palette? Okay, so that was it. Good. I was here. Remove star.back. Now we're just going to run the last pandoff. Okay, open it up again. 4.pdf. Let's just see what it says. All right, I'm going to move over here in case there's any typos. CD projects, simuleos. No, sorry, this is scribblings. Ellis here, CD into 2020, July. And we'll just go. I don't know if people like this kind of stuff. We'll see. And yeah, okay. So prompt, describe a completely normal scenario or activity in a fashion that makes it unsettling. Okay, so I'm just gonna go. Small fleshy tendrils convulsed in midair, bathed by a pale synthetic light. Their owner, a tall creature with beady eyes and a shortened snout, stood expressionless above the table, examining his prey which had long since deceased. The creature appeared to have evolved from some form of mammal, not too dissimilar from us, but its bones seemed to have grown beyond what its skin could cover, as small pieces extruded from the tips of each of its feelers. Its fur was completely missing, except atop its head where it flowed a few feet towards the floor. It clacked its unnaturally red lips, stained by the blood of other earthly creatures, before slowly clasping the object on the table. Unlike other animals, the creature had the intelligence to combine several different forms of prey, and had ground and baked different ingredients to create yet another dish, one that was more fitting of its gruesome palate. In its final form, the food had a soft, white outer shell, and was filled with what could only be described as ground bones and blood. The creature bit into it. As the creature bit into it, red goo oozed from the back, falling back onto the table where a small plate rested, ready to catch any crumbs so it could savor every last bite. These creatures had become commonplace as of late, slowly taking over the world we once knew, forcing us into hiding. Legend has it that they will eat anything and everything they can find, but not before torturing it and flaying its dead corpse. These creatures were intelligent, ruthless, and vengeful. They were unwilling to share their space with other types of animals and would happily murder others to have their way. As I slowly backed into the shadows, watching the bag of flesh from behind a rut in the wall, I began to wonder what its concoction tasted like. For something prepared so delicately, it must taste reasonable, right? I hadn't eaten so long. There was nowhere to find food anymore after these beasts began stealing everything they could find and killing all my brethren. Soon the light was turned off, leaving the room in complete and utter darkness. If I were to escape, now would be my time. I listened for the creature's movements, waiting for the creaking floor to stop before dashing past the table it had been feasting on before. I could make it. The door was at the far side of the room. If I could just... The lights turned on, and the creature shook the entire room with its shriek. I could feel my heart beat faster. I just had to keep running, but I could hear the giant's footsteps quickly stomping behind me as it roared. I made it out into the tall grass and kept running as far as I could. I don't know how far I ran exactly, but it was far enough that I could no longer see the house from the ground. I climbed the tree and looked behind me, ensuring it had not followed. From this height, I could see the house in the distance and the ominous shadow of the creature, illuminated from behind by the same light as before. It was undoubtedly guarding its territory with guttural growls and shrieks, waiting for another animal to murder and consume. This was a world from the perspective of a rat, watching a human eat a sandwich. Peanut butter and jelly, to be precise. So that was the story. The idea was that, again, you're a rat and you're watching a human eat a sandwich. That's it. That was the whole idea. So the idea is you have this guy who's just, or I guess girl in this case, because she was wearing lipstick, and so she, basically just grabs a sandwich and like lifts it up and eats it, but like from a rat. Like, this is incredibly scary, right? Let me go ahead and catch up on chat. Are we unsettling? Hey, that tickles. Did I walk into a bad situation? No. Peanut butter and jelly is disgusting. I agree. I like peanut butter and jelly. But yeah, so the idea is from a rat, like, it just looks like it's just, I don't know. What is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to a rat? But like blood mixed with like weird crushed up other bits, So that was the idea. I actually, I like how these turned out. I really do think, I just love writing. It's super fun. Never had it, honestly. It's a staple of the American diet, Okay. I was thinking a burger with ketchup since you had flesh oozing red. In principle, it probably should have been a burger, now that you mention it, because I did mention that it was flesh. Like, I kept saying it was flesh. I was thinking, like, I guess because I'm a vegetarian, I don't think very much about burgers. But actually, now that you mention it, probably it should have been a hamburger. Let me change that right now. That's actually better. vi4.md. Watching human eat a hamburger. Now I need a witty quip at the end. This is the world from the perspective of a rat watching a human eat a hamburger with ketchup. Let's see. Wait, you put chocolate sprinkles on bread? I don't have a witty quip to end that with, but that's okay. I'm happy with that. Okay, so now the next one's gonna be, I don't even remember. What's the next? Wait, I'm pretty sure not on a hamburger. But of course, now you have to check that the rest of the story is consistent with that new description. I think it is. You're right. I mean, let's see. The only time let's see. Unlike other animals, the creature had the intelligence to combine several types of food. Several different forms of prey. It had ground and baked different ingredients to create yet another dish, one that was more fitting of its gruesome palate. Let's see. Its final form had food that had a soft white outer shell. It was filled with what could only be described as ground bones and blood. I think, like, I mean, maybe the peanut butter makes more sense because I said it was ground bones, right? So, let's see. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So let's do pandoc. Let's see, where is it? It's going to be 5.pdf and 5.md. Oh, let's see what this one is. I don't even remember these stories. They're from so long ago. 5.pdf. Okay, so this one is... Oh, that's my Scribbleos intro. So that means the only other one I have then is going to be 6.md. So let's do pandoc. Okay. 6. And there's one other that I didn't read from a while ago. Chopped onions could be the bones. Oh, that's correct. You don't really need to think about it too much. If I'm being honest. Like, this is where the imagined hamburger, watching a human eat a hamburger, what do you say, hamburger with toppings? There you go, done. Okay, so this next one I remember liking a lot when I wrote it, but I don't remember, like, I'm probably going to go back to it now, and I'm going to be like, man, that was awful. So I'm a bit worried about it. So we'll see how this goes. Let's do ocular 6.pdf. There's one other that I wrote that I didn't read last time, but we'll just read through this and then we go from there. Okay, so this one is prompt. You're the most skilled warrior in your kingdom, and you're gifted by Oh, I directly copied this from Reddit, but apparently the writing was not very good in this prompt. You're the most skilled warrior in your kingdom, and you're gifted an impenetrable magic shield. I directly copied this from Reddit. I'm sorry about that. You are the most skilled warrior in your kingdom, and you're gifted by your impenetrable magic shield that is given to you by a wizard. One day, you are challenged to a duel by another warrior who is known for his magic sword that would be given to him by a witch that can penetrate through anything. So the idea here is that you are a warrior who has an impenetrable shield. No matter what, nothing can break your shield. However, the other person has been given a sword that can break through anything, right? So the question is, what happens when the sword and shield meet, right? And so initially I took this prompt with the idea that I would kind of do some sort of weird quantum superposition thing. Say that you have two different states, one where the shield wins the operation and one where the sword wins the operation when they clash. And basically whichever one is observed is the one that is like chosen as reality. You know what I mean? Like do some sort of weird like quantum like thing. But as you can see, it didn't turn out that way at all. So I'm going to read through it. I think it's pretty good. I remember writing this one. I enjoyed writing this one, even if it ends up being pretty crappy to read. So let's read through it. Also, remember that one scene in the Avengers where Thor brings Mjolnir down upon Captain America's vibranium shield? I'm picturing that. Maybe? I actually don't remember that scene at all. I'm sorry about that. When I was a child, my family lived atop a... Let me try that one again. When I was a child, my family lived atop a mighty mountain. The nights were cold and bitter, and snow often settled on the land, even in the middle of summer. At the time, I didn't know anything else. It was just my parents and me, alone for years. Every weekend, my father would walk down the mountain to a local village and buy anything we needed for the week before returning late in the evening. One winter day, he didn't return, leaving my mother and I to fend for ourselves in the middle of a harsh snowstorm. My mother used our last resources to keep me alive. I was trapped in the house for days without food or water, only subsisting on snow and ice. Suddenly, a huge gust of wind shook the house, and when I opened the door, I found all the ice had melted, leaving beautifully green grass sprouting from the earth below. I was so hungry, I actually contemplated eating it. As I looked up, I saw a man clad entirely in a blue cloak with black accents. His hat had a wide brim and a pointy tip, and a huge gray beard covered his chest. He was old and wizened and put his full weight on his walking staff with every step. This was the first human I'd seen in what seemed like years, and I didn't want him to leave like my parents just had. He was walking away at the time, clearly unable to see me. I tried to call out, but my throat was too dry to make any noise. I did the only thing I could think of. I ran. My legs were shaking under me with every step, and the world seemed to warp around me due to my hunger. I swear I could even hear my bones creak. The next thing I knew, I was tugging at the man's cloak, filled simultaneously with fear and hope. He looked down to me and then to the house with the door ajar. His glasses obscured his expression, but he then knelt down, caressing the back of my head, and said, "I'm sorry I missed you, dear. Here, come with me." He held out his hand, and we walked together, slowly making our way to his cottage, which was made of pure stone. At the time, I remembered being fascinated with all the luminescent... Let me try that sentence again. At the time, I remember being fascinated with all the luminescent boiling liquids and assortment of ridiculous items, but I was most interested in a loaf of bread that was just sitting on the table. Without asking permission, I dashed and began gobbling it up as fast as I could, while the older man laughed. "Ho ho! I see you were hungry. Never fear, my house is always welcome to you." I didn't say anything and was choking slightly on the bread. He continued, "I'm Samuel. What's your name, little girl?" I swallowed and said, "Beth," before immediately asking for water. Sam and I lived together for years. I was taught to hunt and fish while he stayed inside, constantly reading and trying to make different concoctions. When I was about 10 or 12, he asked for my help in building a simple wooden shield. He insisted it be perfectly circular and comfortable to hold. He then had me collect various items for him, some gold and silver from a mountain mine, frog's urine, and bear's fur. When I returned, he was stirring a pot of blue acid and asked me to put everything I had found inside. I did so, and the combination became black and viscous. He then looked at me and said, "The final ingredient is you," before pricking my finger and putting a single drop of blood inside. The moment it touched the mixture, everything glowed gold before turning into a brilliant blue. We laid the shield on the table and completely covered it with the goo. Sam smiled a bit and said, "As long as you live, this will protect you. Nothing can break it once it dries." He then poured a small amount in a vial. "I'll keep this for myself, so I'll always know if you're safe." From that day forward, I was constantly training with the shield, learning how to defend myself against any creature or human. At some point in the middle of the training, Sam said, "I think it's time for you to go down to town and compete." "Compete?" I asked, wiping sweat from my brow. "Yeah, there's a tournament going on every weekend. I believe your father won almost every round and used the money to buy food for you when you were younger." Sam pursed his lips a bit. "I suppose he was defeated by Lan, the boy with the perfect sword that could pierce through anything. He was given that sword by my sister. I just cannot stand magic being used to harm others." I didn't know what to say. Memories of my childhood flooded through me, and I couldn't handle the pain. I remember crying and hugging Sam for what seemed like hours, but he apologized and rubbed my back. "You don't have to compete," Sam said. "I wasn't thinking when I said that. I thought it might be a good way to earn some money and start living your own life." I didn't say anything, but wiped the tears from my eyes. "Look, Beth, I don't care what you do, but I think living here alone with me is not good for a girl like you. You need to go out and see the world. It's time for an adventure." He then pulled me off of him and held my shoulders, looking straight in my eyes. "Use the shield to protect those you care about, but first, go find those people." He sighed a bit before continuing. "If you find Lan, well, I added something to the shield mixture I don't think my sister would have thought of." The next thing I knew, I found myself in a large stadium competing in a battle royale with hundreds of opponents. I didn't bring a weapon beside my shield. I didn't intend to kill anyone, just survive the longest. I found the years of hunting and trapping animals gave me an advantage. I was more nimble than anyone else on the field. In the chaos, I saw a man whose sword was glowing red. It sliced through anything and everything it touched. His chest was bare and covered in scars from the many battles he'd fought. With every swing, the bloodthirsty crowd cheered, desperately wanting more. It was Lan. I kept protecting myself and waiting for the moment he would come after me. Strangely enough, he didn't. He slaughtered every other person on the field, leaving the two of us alone with a pile of corpses around us. "You, girl," he shouted, pointing his sword directly at me. "You don't belong here." "Why not?" I yelled back. "I will not strike an unarmed woman. You killed my father and left me to starve atop a mountain. Every time you strike down another man, you kill their families as well." I could see anger in his eyes, and his sword flared a bright red. "I take back what I said. You deserve to die." He leapt, lifting his sword high into the air and swinging it down onto my shield. At that moment, I could feel the sword pierce into me. It had broken the shield. No, that couldn't be. I was still alive, so the shield must be unbroken. I looked up, only to see Lan's sword resting on the surface of the shield. Time itself had frozen. Two simultaneous paths opened up, one where he'd won, and another where I did. In that moment, I knew it was a battle of wills. I could still feel immense pain in my side, but I also saw the sword and shield glowing a bright red and blue. I could win this. As my confidence grew, so did the blue aura of the shield, eventually engulfing the sword and Lan completely. The light became blinding, and when it vanished, Lan was gone. I knelt down, grabbing my side where the sword had hit before, only to feel the wound closing on its own. By the time I looked down, there was no blood at all. There were no cheers for me, no booing either. The crowd was completely baffled, as was I. I left and I collected my prize money before buying a loaf of bread and climbing back up the mountain to ask Sam what happened. In that moment, I felt genuinely happy, as if I had redeemed my father from so many years ago. I also felt Sam was right. I was ripe for an adventure or two. So that's that story. Let me see what people say in chat. I got dinner soon, and I'm not really into your writing style. Sorry. So I'm gonna hop off. Okay, that's fair. So yeah, that was the other story that I wrote. Again, I wrote a bunch of others, but this is just the one that I wrote there. So the idea here was, again, that you have, an unbreakable shield, and a sword that can break through anything. And the question is what wins. And so, again, I did want to do this whole quantum route where whatever path you observe, like whether that be the shield winning or the sword winning, that's what wins the fight. But I did kind of do that, but I ended up doing a whole bunch more narration and stuff like that, like describing where the girl came from, why she how she got the shield to begin with, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where I took it. So again, when I was writing these every day, what I was trying to do was I was trying to basically have a different style for every story. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to make it so each day I was focusing on something else, whether that be narration or being able to tell a complete story in one one kind of short story type thing. I would have liked the final battle, mental battle, to be a bit longer. Yeah, I agree with that as well. Again, the problem with writing a story a day is that you can only really write so much before you don't have time to write anymore. And so this took me an hour or something to write. I might have hit the microphone there, sorry about that. Which, isn't too much time, right? You spend an hour doing a whole bunch of other things. I'm sure people spend an hour watching YouTube or Twitch or whatever every day, and it's nothing. But at the same time, you kind of have to, finding an hour of time to do writing every day was kind of hard. What I do like about this story, before talking about the things I don't like about the story, what I do like about the story is that it does, I think, adequately tell an interesting story in literally 3 pages, I think. And I think there's something to be said about that. What I don't like about the story is I didn't really flesh out Beth's character at all. She was just kind of your standard protagonist who doesn't really have any thoughts or opinions of her own besides the regular, my parents died, therefore I feel sad and I need to, her emotional backstory was not particularly strong, right? She was obviously very upset when, she heard that her father died because, he was fighting for her, her food and stuff like that. But I just feel it could have been done a lot better, and I could have really described the entire fight a bit better, right? Not only could I spend more time talking about their mental battle, but I could have also spent more time describing exactly how the battle royale style worked and all that kind of stuff. I just kind of said it was just slaughter everybody, but it wasn't particularly compelling because of that reason. So I don't know. I think it's I think it's okay. I did quite like writing this one. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was something different than my typical the stuff I would typically write. Okay, so that's kind of where I think I read actually all the other stories on Twitch already from the previous that's Grim, sorry. From the previous streams I did. So let me just go here and let me just look for this really quick and see if there's one that I maybe didn't. Actually, I maybe didn't read one of them, actually. Let me look for scribblings. I think there's one that I didn't actually read out, but I did read it on Scribbleo, so I just didn't read it here. It was a discussion of social anxiety. You want to read my thing? You most certainly can. I preferred 4, but tend to like Gothic text more. Yeah, so again, like every time I wrote, I did try to, I did genuinely try to make it so it was different than what I did before. Okay. So then there was this one that I also quite like, that I liked a lot as well. So here's this one. And then I think this is everything that this is all of the short stories that I wrote that I haven't read on Twitch. And so what I think I'm going to try to do, I think I'm also going to read Trash Talk stuff as well. So I think I'm going to read this one. Then we'll read some of the stuff that Trash Talk wrote. And then after that, what we'll do is we'll talk about what we want to do for a structure here. And how we want to progress with that. So this short story is basically, I guess I can just do it in raw, can't I? Oh, this is kind of ugly, isn't it? Let me just do the PDF like I was doing before. No, you're not begging at all. I've been putting this off for ages, and I want to make this a thing. Let's just do pandoc, and we'll do 3.md to output 3.pdf, and let's do ocular 3.pdf. So this is a really short one as well. Okay, so I want to be read. We'll read. Definitely, we'll do the reading. That's we'll definitely do it. Okay, so this one right here was the prompt. While everybody else was always afraid of the dark, you've been afraid of the light, and now you know why. So this particular one it's basically, when you read the prompt, you kind of want to make a story about a vampire. You want to make the story about something like mythical or something like that, but I took it kind of a different route. So I think that's what it'll make sense when I read it. It's not particularly deep. So here's what I wrote. I don't understand why anyone would ever go outside when the sun is out. It's hot, it's blinding, and it will literally burn anything and everything it touches. Cloudy days are much better. I can easily go outside without sunscreen or having to squint. In fact, rainy days are even better than that. I love the feeling of cool water dripping down my neck while running. Also, swimming in a downpour is such a wonderful experience. It's just so surreal. On the surface, the world is in chaos with globs of water falling from the heavens above, all coalescing into a beautiful white noise that drowns everything else out. When diving deeper, the chaotic nature of the world above disappears completely into utter silence. The world below doesn't know or care about the storms above. Fish still swim, reeds still grow, and the sand hardly moves at all. The surface of the water, once a window reflecting the bridge between the two worlds, has become a tumultuous mirror, reflecting whatever images its surface can find. I think the most beautiful part has nothing to do with imagery. It has nothing to do with the physical aspect of the scene I described. No, I think the most beautiful part is still one step deeper. In that moment, when you dip below the surface, it's possible to feel absolutely alone. No sounds, no harsh sunlight, no people. As of late, I've slowly come to realize that it's not sunlight that I hate, but the people it brings along with it. For someone with social anxiety, there's nothing more terrifying than a human in broad daylight. So again, the idea here was, instead of taking it down the kind of fantastical route, I took it down more of a route describing social anxiety. Again, I literally had this discussion like with people. Like I've had this discussion before. Like, this is literally just like what I've told people when I have to go outside and I always wear sunglasses and stuff like that. Like I'm literally the person that doesn't like light and prefer darkness, just because it's nicer. Like, I appreciate it more. Okay. You're really good at describing things. Yeah, thanks, Trash Talk. Okay, so now let's read some Trash Talk stuff, because honestly, there's something really important about this. Let's go to the Algorithm Archivist over here, and let's, so a while ago, like a super long time ago, we created this writing repository. Now, Trash Talk, did you put your stuff here? Where did you put your stuff? Was it in the writing repository? Here, or was it in the, here? I remember I saw the PR. It's on my own account. Okay, gotcha. And then you put it on, I see, you put it on Discord. That's where I got the notification. I remember now. Let me go to Discord really quick. And you put it in writing. Let's go here. Okay, so we'll read this. Now, here's the thing. I would really love to have a whole bunch of people really into creative writing. Like, I would love to have like a prompt that we decide to do every week. And the idea is, you know, what I'll do is I kind of want to do writing every day again, something that I can do, like, I just want to do something every day that's not programming related. So I figure I might just go back to doing a prompt every day. And then obviously when NaNoWriMo takes over, I'll be writing Grim every day. But I just want to slot some time for writing every day. So then I thought, let's do a stream every week. And if we do a stream every week, what we'll do is go through not only what I wrote, but also what everyone else wrote about a particular prompt. And if we don't have enough people responding to said prompt, then we will go and I'll read through some of the other things that I wrote as well. So I think that's kind of the plan. Let me get some water. Okay, so I think we can go ahead and get started here. Can I make this bigger? Yeah, that'll do. This is how I should read it, actually, instead of outputting it to PDF. Good. So I think this follows from what Trash Talk wrote before. I think it's actually, if it follows from what Trash Talk wrote before, it's actually quite an interesting story. I enjoyed the last one a lot. Okay, so solved. What follows is a transcript of an interview with Professor Francis Sherman at the Idaho State University for Exceptional Things. We asked him about his job, life, and field of study at the university. Let's start at the beginning. Who even are you? That's a very straightforward way of starting an interview. I approve. I'm Francis Sherman, Professor of Exceptional History at the ISUET. I specialize in Asian and more specifically Chinese alchemy, but the current courses I teach are broader in scope, mostly undergrad courses. I'm also involved with research, of course. I'm currently waiting for a visa to visit the Yunnan province of China. The trip is going to be equal parts archaeology expedition and literature study. It's all very exciting. Work is not the only thing I do, however. I try to maintain some semblance of a life outside of my studies. I train for ballroom dancing competitions with my other half. Occasionally we go to said ballroom dancing competitions. They're a lot of fun. Why specifically Chinese alchemy? Wasn't alchemy more of a Western European thing? Is it more? Okay, that's a classic misconception. Alchemy, although it does somewhat depend on your definition of alchemy, is practiced all over Eurasia and Africa. Yes, the aesthetic commonly associated with alchemy is very much Western European. Think of the purification of elements, the search for the philosopher's stone, and turning lead to gold. I don't mean to be rude, but you just said that alchemy is practiced all over Eurasia and Africa. Is alchemy still practiced today? Again, that depends on your definition. Alchemy is related to things like natural medicine, while modern medicine made great strides over the last couple of centuries. Natural medicine will still be widely used today. I will agree on one thing, however. The archetypal alchemy, as I described, is as good as dead. But, and this is the exceptional part of the story, it's not dead for the reason you might think of. Alright, you got me. What happened with the European alchemy? Someone solved it. Alicia Braucher, to be more specific. She was the daughter of a Bohemian nobleman who considered himself an alchemist. In private, of course. The church didn't exactly condone the practice. Anyway, she got interested in her father's studies at a young age, and when she was just 19 years old, she solved some of the major challenges that alchemy faced. Really, when did she turn lead into gold? Why have I never heard about this? Exactly. Alicia also found a method for creating a philosopher's stone. She even managed to rediscover the creation process of Damascus steel. Although these discoveries happened later at 20 and 21 respectively. The thing is, many alchemists of her time were more interested in the process than the result. So when Alicia published her results under a pen name naturally, many of the people in the field were discouraged from pursuing the research any further. Her results weren't republished. And a lot of the leading alchemists in their day went on to different endeavors. The limited first publishing, I'm liberally using the word publishing here, you wouldn't see these papers in bookshops, and the fact that she was, a woman, meant that her stories wasn't picked up by history. So what about her discoveries? Must have gotten obscenely wealthy thanks to her discoveries. She was the daughter of a nobleman, she already was obscenely wealthy, and the Philosopher's Stone, that's a fascinating story. It turns out that the rejuvenating effects have been slightly overstated over the last couple of centuries. A daily dosage of the extract has been shown to increase life expectancy by an average of 5 years. That's nothing to scoff at, but because of the fabrication of the stone requires a bit of mercury, it doesn't do much for your health unless you filter that out. And her results used today? How do you think we were able to afford research trips to China? And considering the Philosopher's Stone, it's exactly its extract pairs great with good fitness regime, even if it doesn't taste very good. Anyway, can we now talk about Chinese alchemy? It's a very intriguing subject. I'm afraid that we've been too Eurocentric up to this point. I'm afraid I only get so much page space for this interview. Professor Sherman. From our correspondent at the Idaho State University for Exceptional Things, Rachel Vanderloo. Okay, so I quite like this. This is really good. So the bits that I really liked. So first of all, I think you really nailed the academic perspective here. So the idea is for anyone who couldn't get through my bad narration here, the idea here was that we had alchemy as a thing for hundreds of years. People really wanted to be alchemists, right? But then for a while, right? For a while, now we haven't really talked about alchemy, so why not? And the answer is that basically alchemy was solved, and what ended up happening was after it was solved, no one really cared to publish anymore because it was a problem that they didn't care about. Like, because it was solved, it couldn't be brought anywhere. It's like, you know, the discovery of the Higgs boson. Like, I mean, I guess it helps a lot, but also, like, where is that going to be cited or something? Like, basically, it was the very last thing to figure out in the field, and now no one's citing that paper anymore because there's nothing else to do. And so the idea here again is it's an interview talking about how Alicia, you know, completely solved it. It's actually quite nice. I really like it. Yeah, I mean, I think there was like one typo where there was a period where it didn't need to be, but outside of that, like, I like the story. I like the idea. Is this gonna be like wrapped together into like a set of interviews or something like that? Because I think it's actually quite cool. Let me go up here. So. Oh, this is under writing, trash talk. Oh, I see, it's a fork. I see. So if we go here to writing, and then we go here. Yeah, good. But no, I'm a big fan of the idea. There was the other one that we read not too long ago that had a very similar premise, and I like the idea of them. I think they're quite good, and I do think that you're hitting the whimsical mark pretty well. Okay, so now we've read quite a few short stories on today's stream. Quite a few, I mean 3. We need more short stories for next time. But I kind of just wanted to open up the discussion here to see what you guys want to do. I mean, are people into short stories? Clearly, you know, Gibbous said that he wasn't particularly into this, and that's okay. Well, he said he wasn't particularly into my writing style, which is fine. Like, I totally understand. I mean, everyone likes different things, right? So the question is, I personally would love the idea of, like, just doing like a prompt every week or something like that. What do you guys think? So I was thinking like a prompt every week. Uptime is actually under stream nowadays. I think we've been streaming for like an hour. Let me F5 over here. Yeah, so uptime is 51 minutes or so. So what do you guys want to see, I guess is the question. Do you guys want to do more like, do we want to do more community writing where we all do the same prompt? And what I can do is I can just go through and like we can call it a writing challenge, and every week we just do a new writing challenge. That could be something we do. Fulster says he likes listening, but I suck at writing. That's not viewable on mobile though. Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry about that. We don't really have an uptime command. Maybe we should. We used to with Simbot, but now with Bachuleos we don't. But it's okay. It's not a big deal. I would be down to write submissions for it, but I can't guarantee every week. Yeah, so maybe. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do it every week. The idea would be Rachel's a lot more reporting to do. Oh, is this... Oh, wait, Rachel was... Which one was Rachel? Rachel was the reporter, right? Transcription? No, that's not it. One second. Writing. This one? No, wait, where was I just a second ago? Let's see. Originality was one that we read last time. So I thought this would be... No, but this is different. Is it a pull request? No. Oh, I'm in the wrong directory. I gotcha. Let's go back a bit. Okay, or not. Let's go here. There. Let's go here. Let's go to forks. Sorry. Trash talk. Okay, go back. Trash talk writing. And then we're going to do, it has to be this one. No, I'm bad at this. Trash talk. Solved. There you go. And this one was by, wait, is Rachel the reporter? Rachel must be the reporter then, right? I mostly like to do my own thing. Well, okay, so that's the question. Like, should we do prompts or should we just do our own thing? We could just do our own thing, right? And in that case, we could just I like the idea of having some sort of central theme to it, but it doesn't have to be a prompt. You know what I mean? So like, again, we did try to do this before, but it didn't really turn out too well because I just didn't have time for it. But if I slotted into my Wednesday, into my Wednesday time, you know, so it's writing Wednesday. I think that makes sense. I like to do my own thing, but the prompt makes the most sense. Yeah, so what I'd been doing is I'd been using writing prompts as a way to make a certain part of my writing better. You know, so like, for example, I would say, you know, for this prompt, I'm going to focus on exposition. For this prompt, I'm going to focus on, you know, narrative, just being able to tell a complete story in a short amount of time. With this prompt, I'm going to be focusing on this, you know? So I feel like, I like the idea of just kind of everyone focusing on like one thing. I mean, I'm not saying everyone should focus on exposition or something like that, but I feel like maybe everyone focuses on what they want to focus on, right? So like they focus on getting better at this one thing, you know? So like at the start of every writing challenge, basically they'll say, my focus was on this. Here was a prompt if I used one, something like that. I might be into it if we're doing our own thing. I have a game I'm thinking about making, and I know that I'm going to have to do some writing, and I'm going to have to get better at it. Yeah, okay, sounds great. So yeah, let's all do our own thing. And the idea is, so the writing prompt challenge will then be, okay, so I guess just as a brief set of rules here, chotomate. So there's a brief set of rules here, every Wednesday. So we'll do writing Wednesdays. Wednesday, right? So what I'm going to do on my end is I'm actually going to do a short story every day. Sometimes it'll be prompted, sometimes it won't be. And I'm just going to select my favorite one of those, and that's going to be what I present for my own thing on Wednesdays. Then the idea is everyone does their own thing, and the prompt is going to be basically, you start every markdown file by just saying, you know, a title, and then you have something like a purpose, right? And the purpose will be, I don't even need this, just a purpose, and this is going to be, you know, I wanted to focus on exposition or something. Okay, something like that, you know, just share your prompt. If it's interesting, we can hop on. Yeah, so I will be sharing my prompts, I think, every day or something like that. Will there be an optional prompt? Yeah, we can also give an optional prompt. The idea was we do our own things now. So, and then you just present your favorite writing of the week, and we don't really have a prompt, because honestly, we don't have enough people that like, we're going to really, really need a prompt, I think. I think it'll be fine if we just do our own thing and go from there. So again, we just do our own thing, and then the idea is you just give a title and you give a purpose for your writing saying, I want to focus on exposition or something like that. So no prompt. And then, yeah, on Wednesdays, we'll just do writing Wednesday, and that's how we're going to do it. Instead of trying to do it like, you know, Sundays from 9 to 12. I'm not saying that this time is bad. I'm just saying that this time has no alliteration, for one thing, you know, writing Wednesday. But also, that time clearly just didn't work for me. I just, for some reason, was not able to do writing streams at that time. So, word limit. I would argue your word limit is, how about we say less than 3 pages? Because it makes an ASCII heart. I'm kidding, that's not why, but less than 3 pages is what we'll say. So if I run pandoc this, right, and I do ocular 3.pdf, this is 3 pages, right? So, no, sorry, I needed to do 6.pdf. Yeah, so this one's 3 pages, so, and that's kind of the idea. So how many words is this one then? So let's do WC 6.md. It is 8,000 words, I believe. Or is that 15? No, it's 1,500 words. So how about we say 1,500 words? Oh yeah, less than or equal to 3. And we'll say 1,500 words or something like that. So 1,500 words. Okay, so let me go ahead and put that on the writing channel right now while we're thinking about it. So here's a writing channel, and I'm just going to say, so every Wednesday, we will focus on creative writing with a writing challenge. The idea is to focus on some area you want to improve. So the idea is to focus on some area that you want to improve on, and then these will be read aloud and critiqued on stream. Anything goes for prompts, but please keep the length less than 1,500. Less than 1,500 words. I think that's fine. Let's see. I've started a fun writing challenge for myself. Writing a sort of blog entry during a train journey. Oh yeah, that sounds fun. It's online, but it's and a big mess. But I do have a lot of fun. Yeah, I genuinely enjoy writing. It's one of those things that I think I want to do more of. So every Wednesday we'll focus on creative writing with a writing challenge. I'm just gonna say. I think I'm just gonna say this. The idea is to focus on some area you want to improve on, and then is to write with some akin to a short story. Well, a short story or something similar. And then I will read these around. Okay. Read these aloud and critique them on stream. Anything goes for prompts, but please keep the length within 1,500 words. I will post the prompts that I am doing here as well. Okay, so that's the idea for the writing prompt challenge. Again, I'm not going to say that this is going to be like, this is the most well thought out plan I've ever had for a form of community interaction, but I do very much like the idea of doing a bit more creative writing. It's something that I'm incredibly passionate about and I want to do more of. And I feel like my writing style, like, I know my writing isn't particularly great, but also I feel like my writing isn't particularly bad either. I feel like if I focus on it, I think it could, I think we could, publish a book, and I've always wanted to do that. Like, being on the New York Times bestseller has like always been a dream of mine. And I know this sounds really lame because like I'm a scientist and I do, like coding and all that kind of stuff, but like, people can have different goals, and I kind of want to share that goal with you guys. So I think that's kind of where we're at. I realize today's been a short stream. It's only been about an hour. But I don't have too much more writing for you this week. And we did what we needed to do. So we kind of got the idea of a writing challenge. We know we're going to do it every Wednesday now, so that so we have a time set to do it. Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And that's probably a good place to finish. So again, the way these writing prompts will work is basically on Wednesday, it's just a reading day. We're just going to read what people wrote. I'll read my story first, and then I'll go through and read everyone else's stories. And then if we have time, I might read some other prompts that I wrote as well, because it's my stream, and sometimes I want some extra critique on different bits. So that is gonna be it for now, I think. Let's see who's live. In fact, let's see if anyone's doing writing besides me. Rogue, let's see. Diane writes. Published author. Or let's do some programming. I mean, everyone here is probably here for programming as well. I don't know any of these people, so I can't really vet any of them. So let's see. We could do Japanese printmaking because we didn't do programming a lot today. Maybe we do Japanese printmaking today because I actually like their stream. I thought it was pretty cool. But usually I like to do tech content if I've done tech content. So let's raid Japanese printmaking actually. Maybe the stream shouldn't have been in science and technology. I wasn't in science and technology. Ah, Gomen. I didn't mean that. I meant to be in just chatting. Oops, my bad. Sorry. Alright, so let's go ahead and raid Japanese printmaking. Yeah, okay, so that's it for today, guys. Next time, I promise I will be streaming in a different category. That's probably not science and tech. Sorry, I thought people would correct me. I'll probably be in just chatting or something like that. Anyway, guys, thanks again, and I will see you guys next time for the next episode of Simuleos when we do a bit more programming. And yeah, I'm excited for the writing challenges next week. So see you guys. Bye.